At least 800 flights were canceled Monday afternoon, according to the flight tracking website FlightAware. This comes after more than 1,500 domestic flights were canceled Saturday and Sunday alone. So what gives? Staffing and pilot shortages are behind some of the cancellations, and airline workers are reaching their limits. Hundreds of Southwest pilots stood in solidarity at a Dallas airport recently to protest being overworked and understaffed. Wow, that is a difficult graphic to watch, making us dizzy. We're sorry that was triggering for any of our audience.
We'll give a warning going forward. Well, More Perfect Union broke down the corporate greed behind the staff disruptions. Here's what they had to say.
During the pandemic, airlines secured one of the biggest public bailouts of any industry, $54 billion. The catch? They couldn't lay off their workers. But they found a loophole.
Delta will soon offer employees buyouts and early retirement opportunities.
October 1, furlough day for 30,000 workers at United and American Airlines.
Instead of layoffs, airlines used furloughs and early retirements to push out pilots and crew. By fall of 2021, they'd shrunk their workforce by 56,000 people. Airlines schedule their flights 11 months in advance. They know they don't have the pilots to service these flights. So now passengers are paying the price. Airlines are essentially committing fraud, scheduling and selling thousands of flights they know they can't service.
They also called on Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who oversees the FAA, to address these issues more aggressively than this.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who oversees the FAA, has done little to address these issues or the cancellations crisis. After advocates raised concerns, Buttigieg decided to meet privately with airline CEOs and politely told them to do better.
I let them know that this is a moment when we're really counting on them to deliver reliably for the traveling public.
The very next day, his own flight was canceled.
Yeah, so a lot of folks predicted this sort of thing when the bailout happened, because corporations always tend to be able to get around the kinds of disincentives to laying off staff that are built into a lot of these bills, and lo and behold. By the way, pilot pay was already extremely low. I don't know if you remember when Sully landed his plane on the Hudson all those years ago.
Those the birds.
He was supposed to be a hero, but then he ended up having to testify in front of Congress about pilot wages because his own wages were down something like 40% over the past few years. So many pilots find themselves moonlighting with their already difficult schedules, taking second jobs, tired, which is not what you want for people in the sky because they're paid so little money, and this does really just feel like chickens coming home to roost.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than industry-specific bailouts. They're so prone to corporatism, to kind of favoritism, well-connected people getting paid off. Ideologically, I want to be very careful about who gets money from the government anyway. But if we're going to give out money, if we're going to help the struggling people or sectors of the economy, doing it for industry by industry is just the worst way to do it. And the airline industry has been greedy, this experience of flying has just gotten miserable over the last 20 years. It has gotten markedly worse. One of the things that has gotten worse of all, common human experiences. Now, part of that is the government, all of the TSA, safetyism, post 9/11, it's all pointless. We should end it tomorrow.
Is there a relationship between TSA and things like extra bag fees, not getting any checked baggage, the difficulty with rebooking flights when they get canceled, these kinds of delays, less leg room, not getting food on flights that used to get, be of a length that you would get food? Is there any relationship between that stuff, or is it just general corporate squeeze?
I think it is. Some of it is related because you have to get to the airport so much earlier than you used to. It's less efficient. You have to spend more time waiting around the airport. Because you have to go through TSA, you have to go through security, so you might not find out your flight's actually going to get canceled or moved or changed or delayed until you're already waiting around.
Yes.
When you used to be able to see, if you live close to the airport, you can see, okay, my flight's on time, I can go now and just get on my plane.
Yeah, I recently had an experience where I got the text saying your flight's going to be delayed 30 minutes. So I was like, great. I took an extra beat on my way to the airport. as I approached the airport, I got a new text saying, JK, it's back to the original time.
Yeah, that's crazy. You can't do that.
So I ran through. I was still kind of early enough to make it if they just went ahead and let me through, but they wouldn't let me check the bag, which was required because this is the world we live in now. And what they said was, they gave me a bunch of reasons, but when I got through the gate, what had happened is that there had been an earlier flight to the same city that had been canceled. And then they filled up, I think they gave away my seat immediately because they had to deal with all of these people from the cancellation. So they were trying to kind of put it on me, but the reality was that they had these backlogs and they're trying to fit people in where they can. All of the staff are getting berated. People are treating them very poorly because they're frustrated. It's not an excuse. It's just a terrible situation for everybody involved, which is why I would argue, instead of doing these kinds of corporate bailouts, if the bailout is approximating the entire value of the industry, the government should go ahead and nationalize it.
I know you love that idea, but then they're going to make us do even more stupid, pointless stuff in order to board the plane.
Why do you say that?
Because that's what they've done. There'd be more TSA stuff,
Why
right?
do you say that?
Well, I don't know. The TSA is a government agency. It's all...
But they're already exerting their will to that extent. The benefits of nationalizing something is that no longer is it the profit motive that's driving these kind of decisions. So to the extent that your comfort has been
well, we'd have to wear masks on the planes for the rest of our lives. I mean, this is the major reason I have to be against it. The airline CEOs, right, were fighting against that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's true. And there are some people who attribute some degree of the cancellations and the staffing shortages that they've been publicizing to the fact that, for whatever reason, COVID is still running through the ranks of these employees, and it's causing delays as well. But regardless of whatever your stance is on masking, the idea is that to the extent that they were able to squeeze out pennies on a dollar per seat by squeezing extra ones in, luggage fees, all those kinds of things.
My understanding is that actually Jimmy Carter deregulated largely the airline industry in the 1970s, and that is perceived to have been a good thing. That there was not that it made airline travel much cheaper and much more available to the average person.
Well, maybe this is a good thing for us to do some follow-up radars on. Some of our best work comes from us having one of these conversations at the end of a discussion.
Whatever it takes to not have me go the whole take. Now you don't even know, because this is true at DCA, the Reagan National Airport, that one of the lines where your luggage goes through, you're supposed to leave your laptop in your backpack because it's got a special scanner or something. The one right next to it, which you never know which one you're getting unless you can, I guess, memorize what they look like. They look pretty similar. And I fly a lot. That one, you got to take everything out, and you get barked at by the TSA like you're some idiot flying the first time if you don't know. Like, I'm taking my backpack out, like, no, sir, how dare you? What, you want the plane to crash? It's just, well, look, they're unfriendly.
I've always said this. I don't know why people who run for president don't go for some easy targets. Nobody likes the TSA. Let people keep their shoes on just like they do in the rest of the world. No one likes cable monopolies. Go after Comcast. I mean, there are these huge targets that consumers are really feeling under the thumb of.
Yeah, actually, this is a totally different subject. I don't know why the cable companies don't attract more of this kind of anti-big tech, zealous rhetoric that's now coming out of both parties. I mean, say what you want about Facebook or Google or Amazon, but these companies are not nearly as horrible to deal with for the people who use them as Comcast and Verizon and AT&T, right?
A Facebook rep has never made me cry. I cannot say the same for Comcast.
You have a problem with Amazon as a customer, they usually fix it like immediately. They just send you the thing again immediately. If you have a problem with Verizon Fios, which is what I have, and I've had Comcast in the past, buckle in, Buckaroo. You're gonna be on the phone for a while. You have to change your name because they'll say you already have an account and you're effed.
Yeah, that's right. Well.
All right, we have a lot of bipartisan populist rage clearly about how we've been treated in the past by our internet service providers.
This is the ticket. This is the path forward. All right.
More rising after this.